How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and do a mission, or I believe it's a contract actually, called Mountaintop Delivery, where I've got to go and take like a big special objective trailer, and yeah, pretty far up into the mountains, past where I like got the watchtowers on the exploration, to a gold mine up in the mountains, which is pretty cool. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, the vehicle I wanted to use for today, or the pair of vehicles, was the Western Star. I always want to call it the Twin Steer 49X. Yeah, and I decided to bring two of them in the end for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, it's never a bad thing really to bring a spare vehicle just in case you roll or get stuck or whatever. And yeah, in the 49X behind me, I've got a goddamn horse of a vehicle because get yourself a loaf. Loaf always comes in handy. It's always worth taking one with you. And yeah, it also gives me like the roof rack and everything. And yeah, another couple of reasons I ended up bringing like tandem trucks is because I know like there is probably better trucks to do this mission, but I wanted to use like this as a yeah, I'm not like it's a fairly new truck. I wanted to get some gameplay with it, but I kind of figured once I was actually there and I was towing the special objective trailer, I'd be going relatively slow anyway. It's not like I'm going to be motoring along in like Top Gear Auto, so in that sense, it's like it's not as bad when you're towing trucks. But yeah, they do make it a little bit over the top in this game. Like, fair enough, they could. It's like they've got the brakes on the vehicle you're towing, so you never really get that fast at all. It'd be nice if they upped that a little bit. I kind of get why they don't let you go flat out, although, you know, you could just dab the throttle. It wouldn't really be any major issue. But yeah, that's just the conclusion I came to. I quite like taking tandem vehicles anyway. It's a good chance to give both of these a go. I end up cutting some of this out because it's just the same drive down to the train station. And yeah, as you can see, I mean, it does make it through this mud. It never got stuck or anything like that, but it's a little bit slow, a little bit sluggish. Like I say, it's not got the chained muds. Like, you can't get on this because it's got the dual rears and that. I believe they are the all-terrain chained, which I assume that's probably what the Navistar's got on, so, and they tick along nicely enough. I still definitely prefer the chained muds. But another thing that I think does affect this slightly is the fact that it has got pretty small tyres. I think they're only 47 inches, and yeah, 50-51 would be a bit better. Just generally speaking, the taller your tyre, you kind of drive over the terrain rather than having to cut through it. If you imagine like 30-inch tyres, they'd be wading through everything, whereas on the opposite end of the scale, you got like the Cat 745C, the Antarctic thing, and I suppose that big Cat 770G thing now. Yeah, they're just like really tall tyres. They actually go pretty well through mud. That's why now, I mean, you don't have to do this, but I've kind of been having fun. It's quite nice to skip around it anyway, is all these little mud sections on the way down. There is generally a little route round to the left that you can like cut around. That's got like a little rock path going along the left-hand edge, and get a little bit of damage here and there, but one, I've got a loaf with me anyway that I could repair stuff. But when I get down to the bottom of the map at the train station, there's a trailer store there anyway, so I can just buy a maintenance trailer, fix myself up. That's also the same place that you get the trailer, the big special objective trailer from, so I'm going to have to go there regardless. So yeah, I'll kind of use that as a bit of a checkpoint, get myself all fixed up and everything, to check out these potential thumbnail options. To be honest, I just more like the view. I most likely end up using one as a thumbnail, but it's just pretty, definitely, yeah, the views, the scenic element on this map is pretty cool. Overall, I really do like these two new maps. The big thing I would change is removing this extra terrain resistance that makes it like super mud and super snow, because yeah, it just gets a little bit tedious, and it's like I just want to roam around and enjoy the map. It's like I say, I personally think they're trying to extend the life of the game, but they're kind of taking it to what I think is like slightly unnatural levels, where it doesn't even feel realistic. It feels sort of beyond realistic, and yeah, probably because they're being a bit slow with the DLC, so they've kind of tried to stretch it out a bit. That's what she said. But yeah, I don't think it's a good thing. In the long run, it's like I'd rather be able to travel normal speeds through the sort of mud sections, and yeah, I'll play the game more anyway, even if I get more done. Or in fact, it might even sort of work against them in that sense, because yeah, when the maps were more free-flowing, like the base maps in the game are a little bit more relaxed and just let you kind of tick along and mess around, I tend to get sidetracked and think, oh, I'll go up here, I'll go and have a look over here, through there, etc, etc. The more trollish and slow the maps get, the more I'm just like, alright, I'll stick to the script kind of thing. I'll just go and do the missions, yeah, it doesn't entice me as much to think, oh, I'll just go freestyling off up a mountain, because essentially it's just going to be, yeah, basic, slow, unexciting driving. To me, at least, anyway. I mean, that's literally now why I'm cutting down these train tracks again. They're not my favourite bit to cut down or anything, but in fact, yeah, I'd even go as far as say they're a bit of a pain in the arse. But I did try through all that mud section again along the bottom of the map earlier. And you're talking like, yeah, 3, 4, 5 minutes just to cut along there versus 30 seconds to a minute going along here. And again, at least as much as the train tracks are a bit of a troll, they do sort of keep you on your toes. If you're not paying attention, you can tip it there, and yeah, again, it's just keeps me engaged, keeps me concentrating a bit more. So anyway, we're down to the train yard. As you can see, there's a club, the one I prepared earlier. That's got the 8 slot on it. I don't even remember what I was doing with it, to be honest. I might have just been driving around with the 8 slot. Wouldn't surprise me. I do like the 8 slot trailer, I just don't like how much it catches on everything. But other than that, I've been trying to use it a hell of a lot because it looks cool, and it's the biggest trailer in the game now. It's like, of course, I want to take that. Nothing less will be acceptable. And yeah, at this point, when I just looked how much that trailer dropped, to be fair, it actually isn't really an issue, particularly in this playthrough. But yeah, this thing's small tyres, not particularly high suspension. You can see once the trailer's on, it's not too far off shoved that third axle there down into the ground. So it's almost behaving like a normal axle anyway. I went to go for that, I just realised, yeah, I was like, a Colob is hogging up the good turning spots. So I like reversing so many trailers though, they're bloody easy and intuitive. Those things with the wobbly axles at the front just do my head in. I just stick them in reverse, it's like, you do you. Whatever happens, I don't really care. You can roll, flip, get damaged. It's not my concern. Yeah, I'm surprised with this truck though, they didn't add an option. So I watched a video on it, and obviously when you order it from the factory, they can do all kinds of setups for it. It'll have different bumpers, different lights, different add-ons, etc, etc. But yeah, in real life, when you buy these, you do have the option. Well, I'm pretty certain you can have a liftable axle like it has got in this game, but you can also just have 3 solid rear axles that are all fixed, all got power going to them. And I'm surprised in a way they didn't go with that option, because although the liftable axle concept is pretty cool, in some ways anyway, in other ways I'd like to just remove it. But I have found, more so with this probably than the Derry, there is certain situations where it probably does kind of help a bit, like when I was jumping over the barriers, and because those tyres are already slightly lifted, they've already, you know, got halfway over the barrier to begin with. And then it doesn't take much to just squidge the suspension a bit more and tip them over, and then that kind of helps lever your next set of tyres over and all sorts. So in some ways, I'm not knocking them or anything. It's this truck overall isn't bad, but yeah, it just would have been pretty cool if they had one that was like 3 solid fixed axles, or at least if they added like the option so you could switch between a droppable axle or a fixed one, because then that'd make it like an 8-wheel drive. I suppose the other Derry, the 4520, is a bit like that. So yeah, now we're down to like that yard where I had to do the cargo crafting mission. I also did that manual loading mission, although I don't think I've made a video on that, because to be honest, it'd be a 3-minute video, and 2.5 minutes of it is me wondering why the hell the cargo won't accept it on the loading dock. But yeah, you had to just go back to the mission and open like a cargo menu and do it that way. So cutting through here pretty nice. Like I said, overall I certainly think I could have picked 2 lots of trucks that do this better. I could have brought the Colob, obviously that's at the train station. I could have just jumped in that and done it. I've already got some gameplay with the Colob, and I already know like that the Colobs are pretty solid now, particularly the flat face one, because that's just always got the diff engage. The long nose one is actually pretty good. It has, I would say, even better ground clearance than the flat face, but the flat face has just got enough ground clearance now that it avoids most things. Like, it's not in the realm of being a troll. That's why I've always preferred like the P16 over the Colobs, because yeah, the P16s have more ground clearance. So generally speaking, like, you get bits like the Devil's Mud section, but 99% of the mud sections on the game aren't really that deep. That's like a bit of a unique section. A lot of the roads you go down are just kind of medium slightly boggy, squidgy roads, and yeah, but they were always like too shallow to catch the chassis of the P16, whereas the clubs, particularly the flat face one, it's really anything more than a dirt road, and you're pretty much scraping your belly, and then it just slows you down, and it was a little bit like, meh. But yeah, that has massively improved them, so I'm kind of saving the clubs a little bit for various other gameplay options. I still need to get around to learning how to do live streaming, and I wouldn't mind probably live streaming one of those bigger missions, as it's going to take hours anyway, and yeah, I can either edit into multiple videos, or hopefully, touch wood, do a kind of one giant live stream, go at it, and we'll yeah, see how it goes. But yeah, as I was saying though, with these two trucks, I mean, overall, I don't know, I thought it was a pretty cool mission. They got by well enough. There's certainly, as you'll see, it's been pretty smooth sailing up to this point, although it is I remember driving through here and quite a few things, because I've been to Big Salmon Peak, you have to cut through this way when I was exploring the map. For whatever reason, this little section is extremely, like, super mud. I think even the Dolphin was near enough driving this speed through it, on its own as well, or probably had a loaf with it, but it wasn't towing like a giant semi-trailer. And yeah, there's a few little trollish moments coming up, as you can expect. If I was going to do this mission again, I certainly reckon I could do it a lot quicker. There's just little things that I'd know to avoid by now. But yeah, overall, see, I do go slow every now and then when I've got no choice, which is most of the time in this game. Although I was thinking about that the other day, and like, obviously there is no right way to play this game. You play it however you feel like playing it. I will say as well, like, people probably get well, certainly an edited view of what I do on this game, because I make videos. The videos are probably like 1 to 5% of my entire gameplay on this. I do spend a lot of time going slow. What I find, for me personally, I end up happily going slow when I'm off doing my own thing that's not really a mission, and it's a little bit more, unless I just make a video saying here's me going off and doing random shit, then yeah, it doesn't make it into the video a lot. As far as doing missions go, if it's quicker, it can be a 20-minute video as a mission. If it's a slow truck, it can be a 30, 35, 40-minute video for the same mission, the same views, the same distance travelled, etc, etc. It just sort of, so for me, I suppose, when making a video, it's handier to have the faster sections, because it just makes the video shorter and easier to make and all the rest of it. But yeah, when I was thinking about this the other day, you've kind of got two perspectives of looking at it. Like, you can imagine yourself as the employee of a company, and you're driving this truck, and yeah, in that sense, you kind of think, well, say I'm paid by the hour, I don't need to go flying. Sadly, as much as you might have been taught at school that it's different, but in most places you work, it doesn't matter how much you work your bollocks off, you get paid the same at the end of the day, and yeah, it is what it is. So your main focus is going to be like ticking along at whatever speed the lorry can handle. Your main goals, like someone said the other day or week, they drive trucks in real life, and if they drove like I did, they'd get sacked, which is like, yeah, that's fair enough. The other way to look at it though is, imagine you're the boss of your company, and these are your trucks, and it's your missions being accepted or whatever, and you're the one getting the money, you're running the business. From that perspective then, when I'm getting stuck and going slower in sections, if it was my company, that would give me the inclination to start fiddling around with things and thinking, right, that truck needs better tyres, that truck needs a better engine, that truck needs taller suspension, etc, etc. And if you were the boss of a company, that would be the choices you make. Like, I know someone, an old friend of my dad's, he's got a recovery company, and a truck recovery company as well, so he's got some pretty big like recovery trucks that are just purpose built for towing Arctic lorries and stuff. But then one of the trucks he's got, I mean, I think all the normal ones are probably around 500-600 horsepower. My brother's got a couple of trucks, and I think he's got the Volvo 550 or something. I think it's 550 horse, so they're going to be probably around that range. But then one of the trucks he's got, which is like the pride of his fleet pretty much, is an absolute beast. I think it's over 1,000 horsepower. The torque on it would be insane. It looks a monster. You can hear it from 500 yards down the road, and it sounds like a beast. It's one of the few diesel trucks you'll hear that you'd actually be like, God damn, that sounds the bollocks. Like, you can hear the turbos whistling and sucking like a mad one. you can just tell that thing is an absolute monster, and that's the one he sends out when there's some serious crash and it's probably got like a 40-ton trailer on the back and it's slid down a ditch. You send that thing in and it rescues everything, and that's basically what he's done as the boss of his company, has kind of gone, right, we've got normal trucks, but I want something a bit special, and yeah, that's what kind of I've been looking for, I suppose, in this game. And yeah, I mean, I found a loaf. It's definitely special. Now I've got to go and rescue this truck. It got caught on a pylon. Clear a goddamn path trailer. This is an emergency. And yeah, I got the trailer hooked on one of the pylons, and it was wedged in there pretty well. I was trying to reverse with the 49X. I was trying to winch myself forward, sideways, all sorts. Like, it was stuck. It was wedged in there, and it was wedged in there pretty goddamn good. So yeah, I already went off for a little drive because I was getting bored of going half a mile an hour. I just went off for a little cruise up the hill. I like the verticality in this map. I like the fact that there's a lot of steep hills. The steep hills and rivers, for me particularly, have been pretty fun. Like, I still haven't built that bridge pretty much next to the garage because I just like cutting across the river. But anyway, we're on our way back. Yeah, Loaf's got his 49X wellers on. Gonna give this other one a little slap. Like, yeah. Yeah, apologies there, a little glitch. Fortunately, it caught the bit where I actually rammed the truck, but basically the computer couldn't handle the magnificence of the Loaf. It couldn't compute what it'd seen. Like I said, it wasn't mere binary code, ones and zeros. There was some superposition, quantum D-wave shit going on that my PS4 just couldn't handle. But, gave it a little slap, tapped it backwards, and it was just enough. Now I can winch it over to the sideways, kind of lean it over to one side and get past that bloody pylon. And yeah, we're off. We're off again. Well, for a little bit anyway, because I know there's a pretty trollish mud section coming up, so that'll be the thing that gets me next. But yeah, what I was saying, like with the like looking for something a bit special in the game, I mean, that's kind of what I was just thinking about the other day. Is that's the two basic ways, like ways of thinking to approach this game. And like I said, neither's right or wrong. I've done both. I've done plenty of missions, more so earlier on when I first got the game, particularly because there wasn't so much super snow and super mud. There was also the damage mechanics were less trollish. Like, I've done certain missions now where I've tried to be sensible, I've tried to think, right, I'll conserve my damage the whole way, and then yeah, you hit a bloody shrub on the floor at like 2 miles an hour and it deletes your entire suspension. Then I just started getting onto the thing of like, I'll just bring a loaf with me with a roof rack or a trailer or whatever. The reason I prefer a loaf generally over the trailer is there's similar points anyway as far as repair points go. The trailer, yeah, has got 50 more, but I can't recover a trailer, so that's half the reason I have trailers abandoned all over the place, because hundreds of hours would have been spent just driving those trailers back to trailer stores if I didn't. The loaf I can just recover where I like. But yeah, like I said, I used to do a lot more missions where you're kind of, I suppose, approaching it from the point of view of don't damage the truck, etc, etc. But generally speaking, in like the longevity of the game, again, I have played this thing now probably over 1,000 hours now, so I've been there, done that. I've done a lot of slow, cautious driving, and yeah, I like to rally around, I like to mess around, I like to push the limits of the game in general, just like how they've coded the game. And that's what I mean, where, like I said, that guy who's got he's got his normal trucks, but he's also got an absolute monster that, yeah, is the pride of the fleet, and it is a beast, and that's where he was able to make that decision that he wants to improve stuff. Like, say for example, you got obviously a lot of engines in this game, but pretty much every truck, let's be honest, most if not all of us, certainly if you have access to it, we've got the top engine in, and that's pretty much the engine that kind of should be in the truck. In more cases, often than not, I would say that's still a little bit weak, but yeah, it's like, why can't they make the middle engine the kind of about right, and then if you want a crazier, more powerful engine, you've got the choice. But for people who don't want that, yeah, obviously they can just like equip the middle engine, so they're certainly catered to. And like, this game, generally speaking, caters to the slow end. Not quite so many options for the fast end of things, really. Apart from some trucks are pretty solid, but for a good portion of them, I just skip over them because it's like, it's going to do the same job but slower. Oh no, get skinny. Not skinny enough. And yeah, got the bloody 49X stuck on another pylon, so we'll send the loaf back in his 49X wellers. Give it a little nudge of encouragement. Well, bang. Some of them apples knocked it out pretty nicely. In a bit of the footage there, by the way, when I was trying to drive the yellow 49X out, I didn't have the all-wheel drive on and stuff, but I am aware of it. I cut the bit out where I did try that eventually, but yeah, I was stuck on the pylon. And then now I was reversing. I didn't stop in time. Just clipped the rock, tipped over. But you see, this is why you send a goddamn professional. Because you never know. And he's back. And then, yeah, give me a good chance to flip this thing. Forgot to put it in bloody forward again. The amount of time to do that is insane. Takes a little bit of jiggling, but not too long really. Not bad considering I was initially trying to... It started to rotate a little bit, but I was trying to pull it up the hill, which is about worst case scenario. Or the other way to do it is this. Because I can't remember how I tipped the 49X again, but either way, I wanted to get the loaf in the sideboard, so 2 in 1. Flip the... I keep wanting to call it the twin steer, the 49X. And then, yeah, stick a winch on, get back in the sideboard, and we're good to go. Obviously this for me is just like, I like doing this sort of stuff, I like the little challenge of can I get the loaf back in there, etc. But at this point I could easily just give the fuel it's got, fix everything up and leave the loaf here, or again, rather than a trailer, I could just recover the loaf so it's not just sat out across the map. It's not too bad these days because I don't really miss the money that I've got sat around. Like months ago I probably did have like £500,000, £1 million quid's worth of trailers sat everywhere, which yeah, I was feeling it in the wallet, but these days not too bad. So anyway, yeah, this goddamn horse vehicle, he's back in there. Fix the suspension up because I damaged that somehow. Who knows, with my careful driving somebody probably ran up and sabotaged it. Yeah, there's something about this 49X I do quite like though, and again, it certainly isn't one of the best trucks in the game or anything. I wouldn't say it's tippy, but it's not completely untippable. Like when I look this view straight from the back, you can see the rear axles. If they were made a tiny little bit wider so they sat about level with the sideboard, that'd probably be about cool. But again, it's not of anything like, not trollish levels. I know I did roll it a minute ago, but I was like on a bit of a steep hill, and yeah, I caught a rock at a pretty crappy angle. Even with the low range diffs on, it's definitely feeling it pulling up here. This is where there's certain sections you'd probably be better off just driving like the twin steer that's got the trailer hooked to it, because I believe now, while I'm winched to the yellow 49X, that's probably got its all-wheel drive turned off and its diff locks off, so it's kind of making it more awkward in that sense. And then just generally speaking with tandem vehicles, yeah, they don't seem to like to get over a certain speed, but either way, this is clearly like a bit of a hefty weight it's trying to pull up the hill. That's another reason though. I know I could drop that middle axle down, but because it's got no power to it, it's not going to be any gain to me, if you know what I mean. Again, like in real life, I appreciate why they've got that axle to help spread the weight, but there's no punishment for that in this game, so maybe you might get less damage, but I don't know. Generally speaking, if you're pulling a massive trailer, like, you're not going to be absolutely hurtling it around the map anyway. So yeah, it's just one of those things where generally speaking, I'm better off leaving it up, but the option of having the 3 rear powered wheels would be pretty cool. I mean, the Dolphin, that's 8-wheel drive, and that's got plenty of grip, and that's pretty solid. Bruce, again, is a 10-wheel drive, and that thing's got grip for miles. I mean, that was one of the few trucks that just walked the semi-trailer up the 3rd quarry hill in the reviews and all sorts. That thing is a beast. As someone said the other day, and I agree, it's about time if Bruce got, like, at least, say, that active suspension like the Clubs have got. That'd be pretty cool to see, because, yeah, I mean, I've used Bruce on this map, and its chin, not that bad, but it's there, if you know what I mean. There's no avoiding it. They've certainly adjusted it so it's not a complete troll, but yeah, it is what it is. Like, you go through certain sections, you catch your chin, you got to kind of plough it through the mud and carry on. But apart from that, Bruce has got a hell of a lot of grip because he's got all them wheels. Whereas, yeah, this is kind of behaving more like a 6-wheel truck when it could be an 8-wheel truck, and it'd be quite interesting to see, particularly because it's got a lot of power. I know the Derry 4520 is the other truck that's this kind of setup if that axle was fixed, but that thing's gutless anyway. That's just got, I believe it's got the Royal engine in, which is good for the Royal because it's a pretty small truck. The Derry 4520 needs, yeah, the twin steer engine in or something. I got to this point, started eyeballing up that snowy hill. I was like, hang on a minute. I might have to check it out. It looked pretty good, looked pretty smooth. It joined the road, and I thought about it for about 5 seconds. Got to about here, and I was like, no. Just calm down, let's not do it. Not because I didn't think I could drive up there, but I thought once I get to the peak of the hill, the trailer will probably catch anyway. And yeah, after just catching all the pylons, etc. I mean, I've been editing a fair bit out, but in real time I was probably getting on for an hour about, something like that. And yeah, now we're down to the last section. I have to say, overall, I did quite enjoy this mission. I mean, I suppose that section from the bottom of the mountain to the top was a little bit trollish, but again, I was, you know, motoring off with a loaf and jumping back in the sideboard and messing around in between, so I wasn't in any particularly crazy rush. I ended up driving ahead a bit at one point with the loaf and the 49X just to kind of scout this little area out, because, yeah, fortunately, there is kind of a path cut around to this gold mine. It wasn't just complete, like, you know, never been driven on or whatever. Well, we're ticking on a bit slowly at the minute, but again, I am in low range with the diffs on. And because it has got smaller tyres, I can't remember if I said it earlier, but that's another reason why slightly bigger tyres is nicer, because you get more speed out of the same high range. High range seems to be, not saying all, but generally speaking, it's like a set speed, but the bigger your tyres, the faster you go, which makes sense in real life, all other things being equal. That's why, yeah, the twin steer seems to motor along. It's got the biggest tyres in the game that also has access to the high range gearbox. I think anything with bigger tyres has got like the special, advanced special kind of gearboxes. Whereas, yeah, this is on the smaller end with 47-inch tyres. I think, what's the step toe? I can't remember if the step toe is 43-inch tyres. They might be even smaller. But either way, yeah, this is definitely, the Taiga is 51s, the Dolphin is 50s or 51s, John is 50s. I think the Dolphin might be 51 because I think it is an inch bigger than the than John. Every little helps. Yeah, that's what she said. But yeah, I mean, if 47 inches ain't enough, then you got bigger problems than tyre size. You've had damn near hollowed that thing out. She says, can you give me 47 inches? So yeah, of course I can. I'd like to pay in monthly instalments, please. It'll be paid off in 2 weeks, goddammit. Goddamn professional. Well, either that or I'll buy her a truck tyre for Christmas. Like what? It's in the size you asked for and everything. What did I do wrong this time? I have to say as well, back to the game, this little cut through is actually not ridiculously bad again. I'm in low range diffs on, so I'm going to be going kind of this slow anyway. But yeah, all things considered, it wasn't completely horrific, just wheel spinning at half a mile an hour. There was actually some general progress to be made. I realise now. Probably should back it up a bit. I was going to kind of cut the corner, realise there was a rock in front, and yeah, long story short, just I could see it was more hassle to go round. Once I go round the left of that, then there's another rock, and rather than trying to zigzag myself through a little gap with a gigantic special objective trailer, I'll just yeah, back it up, cut through the water. But like I say, it is actually ticking along pretty nice, and I have used this 49X on the other map. Someone else was telling me as well, they've done the new contracts that are on Taymir. I can't remember off the top of my head which map it is. I think there's Zimnogorsk actually. I'm not 100% on that though, but they said they used this 49X, and they said yeah, it was like ridiculously easy basically. So this map is certainly being a troll, and it's, yeah, the extra resistance is holding pretty much everything back, it seems. Ironically actually, that forklift seems to be one of the few things. I mean, that handles surprisingly well in the muddy sections. But that is like, you can tell with the cats, they're obviously licensed, but it seems Cat basically said, you can use our name, but they've got to be this specification, you know, you can't really have upgrades, they've got to be, which is fair enough, like, it's Cat, everyone kind of knows Cat trucks, so keeping them pretty standard is fair enough. But yeah, at the same time, if I was the owner of Cat, I'd be saying, you better make the truck half decent. Like, I don't want it to be a limp piece of crap in the game, because it's a little bit light, and it turns out really it was probably the roof rack doing a lot of it. But as I said near the beginning, the Hummer was pretty a bit of a letdown, and it was kind of like, I'm surprised Hummer have not said to them, can you sort that out, like, you've got our name attached to it, at least make it decent. But again, because I got the roof rack on pretty much as soon as possible, I was driving around like that. Once you take the roof rack off, it definitely handles a lot better. Still looking at that. More cold, more gold. Still not happy about it. Yeah, this thing actually jumped over those rocks pretty nicely as well. And this last section is actually probably one of the nicest bits of the mission. It was pretty cool, pretty nice views. Yeah, overall, as long as I feel like I'm yeah, it's nice when the game gives you something that allows you to conquer the game, essentially. Like, I mean, that is literally one of the reasons why I like the Loaf so much, is for an 11 grand van, it should be terrible, especially if you think relative to, like, what 190 odd grand Derry can't do. Like, if everything was balanced relative to this Loaf in the game, the game would be brilliant. And again, like, this is a great game. I'm not knocking that at all. Like, someone said the other day, and it's you know, oh, this is a great game, I don't worry about the bits they've made mistakes on or whatever. And it's like, I don't really ever want to get into a position where I let any game off anything. Like, the more you kind of push for, you know, the little tweaks and that most of us at least are after. And again, if they just upgraded some engines, like, it's not going to harm the people that want, like, the tamer stuff. Yeah, this is definitely a great game, but I do think there is tweaks and things they could make that would help boost, like, the longevity of the game and yeah, make it an even better game again. Like, I don't want to get in a position. Call of Duty, for example, has just come out, and it's the first year in a while I've not bought it. And I already had the feeling it'll be half a game released, and that David Vonderhaar, I've never liked that prick. Yeah, he basically said, oh, you should be grateful for what we've given you, and it's like, well, not really. Just someone's given you like 80 quid for the premium version. If they just went and said, oh, actually, I've exchanged that for Australian dollars, so I've now given you basically half, and you should be grateful. Yeah, it wouldn't go down the same way. You'd end up in court or something. So I just stopped quickly because I was like the world's longest saving icon. But yeah, I wanted to drop the trailer off so I could actually show you the end of the mission, but I now restarted the game because I wanted to keep the trailer. I might end up, yeah, doing something with that in the future because it was a pretty cool mission. I might try a few different trucks. Don't know if I'll make a video or not. It depends what happens on the journey, really. But overall, pretty successful. When I had a quick look at this thing, I was like, well, I reckon I could drive a Loaf down that. So that was something to do in the future. Looking in that bucket, looking around the view. I was like, what the fuck was that? God damn, what kind of animal puts a wall there? That was clearly a truck reversing lane. Poor planning on their part. That's what I would say. And it's like, clean your bloody rocks up, will you? Talk about the entrance to your gold mine. Get one of your bloody diggers out there and scoop it up. Right now, I'm in high gear. I thought I was in auto, so I clicked down to what I thought was reverse. Drove forwards, like, oh god damn it. Why do I break everything I go near? Let's go, Loaf. Flee the scene. Deny everything. We were never here. If in doubt, blame Canada. Here he is. Fuck you, Canada. South Park approved. Yeah, well, the engine sounded pretty nice and throaty then when I was making my escape. And inevitably at some point I was just testing things out. Decided to get myself a Loaf Rider. Some people my age are like, oh, I've been approved for a mortgage this week, what have you been up to? It's like, well, it's kind of complicated. I'm a bit of a professional, so I'm not sure if you're cleared for that kind of information, to be honest. But pretty important stuff, I have to say. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, this was just, I attempted to restage the beginning bit, but I didn't really need to. Clear a goddamn pack car. I've got a mission to restage. But yeah, anyway, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.